Before we dive into our story, if you love interesting and immersive stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video. Your support helps us keep creating amazing content. Let's get started. HOA stole the ancient treasure in my backyard, but I fought back. The warm glow of the evening sun stretched across the quiet suburban neighborhood, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. Dr. Jonathan Mercer, a man of intellect and patience, turned onto his street, his mind still buzzing with thoughts from the history conference he had just attended. As a former archaeologist and now a highly respected history professor, Jonathan had spent years traveling across continents, unearthing forgotten civilizations, piecing together lost narratives from crumbling ruins and decayed manuscripts. His fascination with the past had been nurtured since childhood, having grown up in a family that traced its lineage back to prominent scholars and traders. He had dedicated his life to preserving history, teaching others about the importance of cultural heritage, and ensuring that ancient relics remained in the hands of those who would honor them, not exploit them. Yet, as he pulled into his driveway, a sharp, uneasy sensation crawled up his spine. Something was wrong. His house was just as he had left it a week ago, but his backyard, the space he had always taken pride in, carefully maintaining the lush greenery and wooden patio, was utterly unrecognizable. The ground had been torn apart, deep trenches cutting through the soft earth, piles of dirt heaped into careless mounds. Bright floodlights bathed the area in an artificial glow, casting eerie shadows across the destruction. Workers in heavy boots stomped through the churned-up soil, their hands covered in dust as they lifted what appeared to be ancient artifacts. Jonathan's heartbeat quickened. His sharp, trained eyes scanned the scene, and his worst fears were confirmed. Among the dirt and debris lay gilded coins, bronze figurines encrusted with patina, delicate ceramic vases etched with intricate carvings, and statues of gold and ivory, their surfaces still gleaming despite centuries of burial. Some pieces bore inscriptions in an ancient language, and Jonathan knew instantly that these were no ordinary historical remnants. They were priceless. Standing in the middle of this chaotic scene, arms crossed and a self-satisfied smirk on his face, was Richard Caldwell, the HOA president, a man known for his ruthless ambition and shameless opportunism. Caldwell was a figure of polished deception, always dressing in pristine suits and speaking in carefully measured tones, his true nature concealed behind a thin veneer of civility. But Jonathan had encountered men like him before, men who saw history not as a legacy to be preserved, but as a commodity to be exploited. Jonathan stormed forward, his voice sharp and commanding. "Caldwell, what the hell is going on here?" Caldwell turned leisurely, his smirk widening. "Ah, Dr. Mercer. Welcome home. You must be quite delighted to see what we've uncovered." He gestured to the artifacts as if presenting a grand prize. "A discovery of this magnitude. Well, it belongs to the community, don't you think?" Jonathan clenched his fists. "This is my property. You had no right to dig here, let alone claim these artifacts as your own." But Caldwell merely chuckled, shaking his head with feigned pity. "Oh, I'm afraid you misunderstand, Professor. According to the HOA Charter, any significant discoveries made on HOA-maintained land fall under our jurisdiction. Since the HOA oversees landscaping in this neighborhood, that technically includes your backyard." He gave a casual shrug. "These artifacts are now ours, and I've already contacted a few private collectors who would be very interested in acquiring them." Jonathan's stomach twisted in anger. Private collectors. That meant Caldwell wasn't planning on turning these artifacts over to historians, museums, or preservationists. He was going to sell them on the black market, making an obscene profit while robbing history of its rightful place in scholarly study. But Jonathan wasn't about to let that happen. His years as an archaeologist had given him the skills to navigate treacherous digs, decipher long-lost scripts, and most importantly, spot a lie when he heard one. He took a slow, steady breath, forcing himself to remain calm. You do realize what you're doing is illegal, right? These artifacts need to be studied, preserved, handled by professionals, not paraded around and sold to the highest bidder. Caldwell's expression darkened for the briefest moment, but he quickly masked it with another smirk. Illegal? Professor, I am simply ensuring that our community benefits from this discovery. Imagine what we could do with the funds. New parks, better amenities, improved security. Surely you wouldn't stand in the way of progress, would you? Jonathan wasn't fooled for a second. Caldwell didn't care about the town. He cared about lining his own pockets. That night, Jonathan couldn't sleep. He stayed up researching property laws, HOA regulations, and even scoured local historical records for any mention of significant findings in the area. That's when he discovered something even more astonishing. His property had once belonged to his great-great-grandfather, a wealthy gold trader and private collector from the 19th century. If the artifacts were buried here, then it was highly likely they had been placed there by his own ancestor. Determined to uncover the truth, Jonathan conducted a personal excavation in his backyard, carefully digging beneath the layers that Caldwell's men had disturbed. After hours of painstaking effort, he unearthed something truly remarkable: a heavy, locked chest buried deeper than all the other artifacts. With shaking hands, he forced it open and found inside a parchment, yellowed with age, bearing the signature of his great-great-grandfather. The letter detailed his ancestors' wishes. The artifacts had been deliberately buried on the property not to be sold, but to be preserved for future generations. The final line of the letter struck Jonathan with immense gravity. These treasures are not meant for private hands. They belong to history. And when the time comes, I ask that they be displayed in a museum bearing my name, for the people to learn from and cherish. Armed with this undeniable proof, Jonathan called an emergency town meeting where he exposed Caldwell's deception, presenting not only the evidence of his criminal intent, but also the undeniable truth of his ancestors' wishes. The townspeople, initially unsure of where their loyalty lay, turned on Caldwell in outrage. His excuse, claiming he only wanted to beautify the town, fell on deaf ears. Under immense public pressure, Caldwell resigned in disgrace, his once polished image shattered beyond repair. He avoided legal punishment, but his reputation was irreparably tarnished. The HOA swiftly elected a new president, someone who actually cared about the community and not personal gain. As for the artifacts, Jonathan fulfilled his great-great-grandfather's wish. The town's historical society worked alongside professional conservators to restore and display the collection in a newly established museum bearing the Mercer family name. At the museum's grand opening, Jonathan stood before a crowd of scholars, students, and town residents, his heart swelling with pride. Justice had been served. History had been honored. And, most importantly, the past had been protected from those who sought to exploit it. As he looked at the gilded artifacts now safely encased behind glass, coins, statues, relics of a bygone era, Jonathan knew that he had done exactly what his ancestor would have wanted. Some treasures, after all, were never meant to be sold. They were meant to be remembered. And that's another unbelievable story from the world of HOAs. What do you think? Was justice served, or should things have ended differently? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another crazy tale. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.